哇，你们知道吗？在马来西亚有一个协会已经默默地为这个群体服务将近30年了。为一个非营利组织，长期仰赖着赞助者和企业的捐款，不稳定的财务基础已经严重影响了爱心使者响应定期捐款，每个月只需要30令吉，或者每年365令吉。每位95爱心使者还将受邀参与1分学习3分陪伴的慈善学堂3.0，一起向国外资深心理师学习提升心理健康。现在就加入95爱心使者的行列吧，帮助别人成长自己。
Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me. Hello everyone, I hope you can hear me and see me clearly. Good afternoon. On behalf of our organizing committee, I welcome all of you to the Resilience and Wellbeing Summit 2022. Our event will start at 2 p.m. My name is Karen Ong and I will be your MC and moderator for the day. While waiting for our event to start, allow me to introduce a little bit about our summit. So, in conjunction with University Tunku Abdul Rahman 20th anniversary of its founding in Malaysia, we are hosting a remarkable and impressive summit, which is the Resilience and Wellbeing Summit 2022. Together with our co-host partner, Bodhi Counseling Center and Journey Within. Our dedicated partners include Alliance Ilian, Kaohsiung Medical University Positive Psychology Center, Taiwan Mindfulness Association, Taiwan Association for Caring and Counseling for Loss, Malaysia Cell and Group Counseling and Support, Lifeline Association Malaysia, Malaysia Mindfulness Association, Tan Siang Mitra Welfare Association Penang, Inner Journey Academy, Roco Films, and Sinchu Daily. The duration of the summit is from 20th February to the 31st March of this year. For the remaining few weeks, we will be covering various topics under the themes of resilience and well-being. As for of now, we have covered practicing mindfulness and the contentment to increase resilience. Now moving next to strengthening the body, mind, spiritual connection, and more to come. This summit will bring new speakers from around the world, which includes mental health specialists, psychiatrists, neuroscientists, psychologists, counselors, and mind training practitioners to provide insights on mental well-being and strengthening resilience. Due to popular demand, we have reopened our registration on Eventbrite. Do encourage your friends and family to register if they would like to have full access to our jam-packed events. Alternatively, feel free to share with your families and friends about our Facebook Live, where this will benefit them as well. Please like our Facebook page for further updates. You can find the link from our chat box. Okay. Right, to all the audience today, we truly appreciate you for joining our Deaf Awareness, the key to a peaceful, rewarding life. Just a little bit housekeeping rules before we get started. You are not allowed to perform unauthorized recording throughout the sessions. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the Q&A box in your control panel. Your cooperation is highly appreciated. So, just a very brief introduction of myself, who is also the MC and moderator for today. My name is Karen, once again. I'm a registered counselor who is currently serving in Counseling and Guidance Unit, Utah, Kampala campus. Also, I am glad to be part of the organizing committee for the Resilience and Wellbeing Summit 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, today our world is facing unprecedented challenges. Well-being matters more than ever. So on March 20th, the International Day of Happiness, we are reminded that our actions matter and that each of us can help build a more compassionate world wherever we are. On that note, let me introduce our speaker, Dr. Kwang Zi Chuan, who will share on how to embrace death and develop a peaceful, rewarding life. Dr. Chen is a senior lecturer in medical education and the internalization lead of Griffith School of Medicine. He receives medical training in Taiwan, Kaohsiung Medical University, and his PhD from Griffith University School of Applied Psychology, focusing on grief and loss support training. As a thanatologist, Dr. Chan received his Master's of Arts in Life and Death Studies from Nanhua University in 2001. He is also a holistic counselor trained in Australia in 2003 as a stream lead of professional communication and history skills stream in the Griffith Medical Program. Dr. Chan introduced structured mindfulness practice into the School of Medicine in 2011. Medical students have been able to apply mindfulness for exam preparation and performance anxiety management. So his area of research includes in health education. Health education includes communication skills learning and teaching, application of mindfulness, health students, social media behavior, admission selection, resilience building, reflexive practice, development, and implementation of contemplative pedagogy in health education. Dr. Chan's interest in mindfulness started as a Buddhist practitioner since he was a child. He had participated in 3 short-term monastic retreats and was appointed as the lay Dharma lecturer of Buddha's Light International Association in 2002. He is currently an adjunct associate professor for Kaohsiung Medical University, Taiwan, and Nantian Institute of Higher Education, Australia. He is also a member of the advisor committee of the Center for Humanizing Health Professional Education and Kaohsiung Medical University. So without further ado and taking up more time, let's pass the floor to Dr. Chan.
Thank you very much, Karen. That is a very, very long introduction. I'm sorry. I hope, yeah, it wasn't too much. Yes, it's somewhat embarrassing to listen to when people, when people talk about, just out loud like that. Anyway, so welcome everyone. What I would like to do is for this particular session, I'd really like you to just voice out what your thoughts are and join in the chat because I would really like to listen to what you have to say. So we have multiple platforms. So just feel free to put in thoughts and contribution to whatever question that I have to raise. Hi Lee, good afternoon. So first of all, for those I'll probably just have a quick show of participants. I'm sorry, unfortunately, I can only see the ones on Zoom. I can't see you when you're on Facebook, but Karen will probably help me with transferring the Facebook question onto Zoom. But for those of you who are in the room now, if you have heard my presentation before, can you just quickly type 1 in the chat so that I know that you have heard my presentation before? And if you haven't heard my presentation before, please type 2. So 111, that's a 2, another 2. So a lot of old friends. Okay, so there's a few 2s. Okay, the 2s starting to come out now. Okay, so I would say maybe two-thirds of the people have listened to my talk before, and 1/3 of you are new to what I have to say. So in that case, I will do a bit of self-introduction so that you have a better idea of where I'm coming from and why I am interested in the topic that we're sharing today. Okay, so thank you very much. I really appreciate this kind of participation because that's exactly what I'm looking for, because I really like you to be part of this discussion and not just me downloading whatever information that I have here. So before I start the content of today's presentation, it's a common practice in Australia that we acknowledge the country. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodian of the land on which we are meeting and pay my respect to the elders past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So this is pretty much in the Australian context because in Australia, we do want to acknowledge the traditional custodian before we do any important talk and discussion, so that it really brings us in connection with the land that we're sharing the information. And I assume that applies to all areas of the world. This is all about reminding us to be present with the here and now, and to be connected with the land that we are living on, so that it always reminds us of where we're at and why we're here, and doing things with intention, with the understanding of where we are. Okay, so just a brief history of myself for those of you who have never heard my presentation before. I'm an Ipoh boy. I was born in Ipoh, when I was 19 years old or 20 years old, I went to Taiwan and did my medical degree in Taiwan, Kaohsiung Medical University, which is one of the co-organizer for this event. And when I was trained as a medical doctor, death and dying has always been something that interests me a lot. And hence, after my medical training, instead of continuing as a medical doctor, I went and did a master's degree in life and death studies. It was a 3-year process, and my thesis focused on the death awareness education for vocational high school students and what they need for death awareness education. After doing that, I then continued to Griffith University on the Gold Coast and Brisbane in Queensland, Australia, and started doing my PhD at Griffith. My area of research is grief awareness and grief counseling support for organizational training. So, pardon?
Sorry to disturb. I think you have it on the edit version. Can we have it? A slideshow. You might want to change it in the slideshow. Yeah.
Well, I actually prefer that, but do you want me, because then I know what is coming next.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's up to you. It's up to you.
Yeah. So I do it that way so that the other slides are on the side that I know what is coming next.
All right. Okay. It's okay. You can
for the reminder, Karen. No worries. So the same applies to anyone that is in this chat at the moment. Feel free at any time to tell me if you have any question, anything that you have in your mind. So thank you for that, Karen. It's a very good demonstration. I really like to be interrupted. It might sound really weird, but I really like that because I always say, if I am to just talk, just me talking with no one inputting, then we probably would just video record this session. I don't have to sit here in the lovely afternoon on a Sunday and doing this for 2 hours if I'm not going to hear from you. So thank you again, Karen. So I started my PhD studying at Griffith. In this picture, you can see that I've got medical students, I've got my medical colleagues. So I started teaching in the School of Medicine in 2008. So this year is the 16th year of my journey in the medical program. So during all that time when I'm not teaching in Australia, I come back to Malaysia often to do presentation, motivational talks on, and then presentation on death and dying. And in 2018, I wrote my 4th book on death and dying, and it's in Chinese. And then in 2019, just before COVID, my 5th book came out in Taiwan. It's all related to death and dying. So this is one of the book launch in Singapore and other talks that I do in Malaysia. So in 2015, after 11 years, I luckily finally got my PhD. And as I mentioned earlier, my area of research is on organizational training on grief and loss support. And you can see in the picture, I did a high five with the Pro Vice Chancellor of Health Group because it took me 11 years to finish my PhD. So pretty much everyone knew who I am, and they're all very happy to get rid of me. So what I'm going to talk about today, as mentioned in the introduction, there's a lot of component of mindfulness in this particular seminar, which I strongly encourage you all to participate to get the most out of it, because mindfulness is a huge part of my own learning and teaching. And it's also a huge part of the topic that I'm going to talk about today when it comes to death contemplation or death awareness. So my approach in teaching is being published. So this is a journal article that's been published in 2019. And it's about how do we use mindfulness, affective reflection into medical education. So I'll be touching on bits and pieces of how I do my teaching so that you have a better idea of where I'm coming from. So now I'd like to invite you to just take this very brief moment. I know you're all here wanting to learn, eager to absorb, but I also encourage you to just take this moment to be present at the here and now. Just a few deep breaths, just to sit with yourself on a Sunday afternoon, you decided to participate in an online seminar. So just a few deep breaths, be present, and I thank you for being here. So my first question for you is, so you decide to join us, and I'm curious now, why did you want to join this particular discussion? So can you please start typing on the chat? Why are you here today and what are you looking for? Yes, interested and curious about death. Thank you. Anyone else? Curious? So when you say that you're curious about death, what is it exactly that you're curious about? It is the fact that we all die. So what is it that you're curious about? Want to know more? Louis, I assume you want to know more about death awareness. And Lee MN, very much connected to Buddhism, death and mindfulness. Yes. Yao, you've lost someone very close to you and you look forward to pick some thoughts. Thank you very much for sharing that. It is really unfortunate that you lost someone really close to you, and the fact that you're able to acknowledge that you're still in grief, that is a really, really huge awareness. That makes it more manageable. It is still overwhelming, don't get me wrong, it's still overwhelming. The fact that you're not pushing it down or ignoring it is just a huge breakthrough in being with grief. So Joe 10 is wondering if there is a destination after life. Do we go somewhere? And Lee, to learn how to prepare and face death one day. Thank you very much. Yes, that's why we're here today. Death is the most difficult topic for me in working on how to cope with the reality change. Thank you, Iris. Thank you very much for that. Are we prepared to die? Are we prepared to bid farewell to those who are dying? What about those who died without being able to bid farewell? Am I prepared for that? Those are all really, really good questions. So Hui Yin, perhaps I want to be reminded to assess if I'm aligned with my values. And as I'm not sure how much time I have in this journey in life. Hui Yin, this is a very, very, very good point. And we'll definitely elaborate on that to know more about the reasons for leaving. So very interesting, isn't it? So like when you reflect on death, you actually then remind yourself about leaving. So yes, hope to be more prepared when it comes to the day. Thank you for Chloe. And LS, life is uncertain, but death is certain. That is true. Curious to know what can I learn from this session. Well, hopefully something will come out from here. Trying to cope with the fear of losing people you love, KO. That is a very, very common fear we all have. So thank you very, very much. This is exactly how I want the session to be. I want to be able to be here to answer your question and to put things into context for you instead of me just blabbering on about what I wanted to say. So thank you. So that gives me a really good idea of why you're here and what's going on. So now the next question I have is, yes, I'll be asking a lot of questions today. So the next question I have is, as I mentioned in the topic of my talk, it's saying that death awareness is a key to peaceful and rewarding life. So my question again to everyone else is, can you please just briefly type, what do you think is the most important component contributing to a peaceful and meaningful life? Can you answer that for me? So I volunteer myself, want to understand how we and others can prepare. Okay, so that's still about the why they're here, study Buddhism. Okay, that's good. So now we go into the second question. What is the key for peaceful and rewarding life? Love for Ellen. Okay. So have love. So Ellen, can you elaborate a bit more? What do you mean by have love? So how far does the love go to, and towards who, or towards which direction does the love go to? And Iris, and again, when you say acceptance, what do you mean by it? What acceptance of what? So Ui, you said having peace and peaceful and rewarding life is about happiness. I'm not sure about that, but we can unpack that. So Jia Yi said, make peace with myself and the people around me. That is very, very good. Be grateful with what you have. Yes, that is very, very good too. Lai Mei. And then Lim said to have gratitude attitudes towards life. Yes. And Ximing said, accept up and down in life. So accept the challenges in life. Okay. So let's see who's right. Regina said, being healthy, do what I wish to do. Again, that is, Regina, that is at the same category of happiness. I'm not quite sure, but we'll unpack that later. And Ho Ki said, be at peace with self and what I can contribute. Oh, thank you very much. So Hoki is talking from with experience, speaking as a 67-year-old. So thank you very much. Lee, understand who we are and be grateful towards life. So Lee, can you elaborate a little bit more? When you say understand who we are, what do you actually mean? Like what does that mean by understanding who we are? Okay, Jiaxing, able to find meaning and purpose in life. Yep, that's really good. Yes, meaning and purpose is very important. Louis said, always feel contented, have passion on what I'm doing, have compassion in emotion. So feeling connected, having passion, and having compassion. Key for peaceful and rewarding life to me was living at the present moment after the sudden death of my loved ones. Okay, so Yao, yes, peaceful means about to have no more sudden traumatic moment for me. Again, it's really unfortunate that has happened to you, Yao, and thank you very much for sharing that with us. After traumatic events, it is very common for us to want to seek for more calmness and steadiness and predictability in our life. That is a very common human desire. So thanks for sharing that. So Ellen, I think you're coming back from my question about love. So to share love to the world by starting serving the family, the community, and to the world, but most importantly is to have love within myself. So that is exactly what I was trying to get at, because it's very hard to offer love if you do not have love for yourself. But then it's a very tricky question, or a very tricky situation, that we traditionally think that love for ourselves is being selfish. That I actually disagree, because we do need to be gentle, be present to ourselves, to attend to our inner needs. That will better equip us to be present to the world. Okay, so Eileen, able to help others, and most important, find peace in own heart despite of happening in the surrounding. So Eileen, you pretty much point towards the answer that I was going to go with, the two comments previously about being healthy and being happy, because healthy and happy is something that most of the people aim for and we all like to have. Unfortunately, in life, if we use that as the reason for us to feel peaceful and rewarding, then we are most likely going to end up being not in peace and not feeling rewarding. Because as the physical body grow old, we will get sick. So health it's not something that is in that much of our control after a certain age. You can still contribute to your own health and well-being, but that's little you could do when the body starts to physically age, which means you have to accept the fact, and sickness will happen. And the same thing with happiness. Of course, it depends on what is the definition of happiness? Because if we see happiness as being having things that I want to have, having things go my way, everything is nice, then again, unfortunately, the world is not structured in that way. So thank you very much, Eileen, because it is about finding peace in our heart, despite of what is happening around us. So Shaolin, adding value to people's life and contributing to the society. You are speaking my value, what I believe in. But just because I believe in it doesn't mean that you have to. I just want to highlight that it's very, very important in order for you to have a peaceful, rewarding life to first answer the key question which was being asked earlier. And I asked the person to elaborate on it. I can't remember what your name is already, but hopefully we'll come to that later. It's about knowing who you are. So it's about understanding fundamentally what is your value system. What do you believe fundamentally about what life is about? But then those value system is not solid or concrete. They can be changed. They can be modified. They can evolve as you become more mature. Because for people who are less mature, their value system is, I want to get whatever I need. That is their value system. But instead, Shulin said that adding value to people's life and contributing to the society. So that means that you want to be a person that is useful for others. That means you can bring to others. And by being able to bring to others and adding value to others, your life is not just yourself, it's actually being connected and spread out. Okay, so that is actually very beautiful. So thank you for that, Shulin. So going back to the question of what I was trying to say is, we need to reflect and try to understand what is our value system. Is there anything about our value system that can be modified or improved or done differently due to our life experience? So that's a question for everyone. So Lee said, our purpose, our existence in this plane and realm. I think Lee, you're trying to answer the question to what is knowing who you are. Yep. So that is part of it. Our purpose on our existence. It's very philosophical. It's definitely part of it. And to understand your purpose, it's also a process of understanding what resonates for you and what is your value system. So I guess in a nutshell, you pretty much described really well about what peaceful and rewarding is. That is, how can I live a life where I have positive impact to the people around me? How can I live a life where I'm useful and I'm able to give love and I'm able to have love to myself? How do I live life with gratitude? And how do I live a life where I have made peace with the people around me, or to have amendments? So you pretty much tick all those boxes that's important for peaceful and rewarding. And we did address the fact that being peaceful and feeling rewarding is a more in-depth experience, is not about having something like health and happiness, is more of having the wisdom to be with whatever that's happening in our life. So Eileen came back again. I learned that whether whether things external to us is going smoothly or it's challenging, it's always a training for myself, and practice how during difficult times I keep peace in my heart and still remain happy every day and help others and not hate those that hurt me. This is really huge, Eileen. It's very, very huge. You point out a lot of important points, and it's a really, really big ask. How can we face challenges and not feel that we are being impacted? How can we have peace in our heart And how can we remain? So when you say remain in happiness every day, I would say remain in peace, because I think wanting to be happy every day is a big ask. Moreover is when we have sad days, it doesn't mean that you cannot have peace. You can still have peace when you're sad, because sad is one of your emotional response to what's happening around you. And if you're able to sit with the sadness, you can still have peace. But you can't sit with the sadness and turn it into happiness. It doesn't happen. It was not able. It's not possible, because they're different. For example, I'm deeply impacted by the war at Ukraine. Okay, I'm deeply impacted by the war at Ukraine. And every morning I wake up, I think, what happened overnight? Because our world, our time is different. Europe and us, we have a different time. So how can I have happiness when this is happening and it's totally beyond my control? So all I could have is peace. All I could have is peace. That is, I'm aware of this impact. I'm aware that I'm unhappy with the fact that Russia can invade Ukraine and violate the sovereignty just like that. That is so wrong. And it's against my value system through and through. Having said that, being present to that's how I feel, acknowledging that that's nothing I could do. I cannot chase the Russian soldier out of Ukraine. Knowing that there are things that I can do, no matter how small that is, and focus on those things, that brings me peace. Yep, I hope that I've described that clearly. Okay, so Regine, I just finished the part that Lee said just a sec. Elaine, it says that remember and help others and not hate those that hurt me. So you're talking about forgiveness. Yeah, if about forgiveness is about making peace with people around you. That is very, very important. So Regine said life enrichment, feeling the self-existence. So it's about having the experience of life. So that could be your value system, that it's important for us to experience life so that we know that we have experienced all these amazing things and we feel that we have existed. Okay, so we've pretty much have a really good conversation. Thank you very much on what do you mean by peaceful? What do you mean by rewarding? So now we try to understand, how does death awareness come into play with all this? So this is my next question now. So how does death awareness or contemplation about death, how does it relate it to peace and fulfillment of life? So just start typing. Just start typing. So just keep typing and just keep typing.
Oh, I think
Pardon?
you're back.
Yes. Well, I switched the camera off because of the switch on the lights. I forgot that, in Malaysia it's 2:30. Here it's already 4:30. The sun is going to go down. So thank you, Karen. You've been very helpful. Okay, so just let me have a look at the answers here. Always ask myself, Why let others did or said hurt me? Did I do it? If not, then we get hurt, move on. Okay, thank you, Eileen. So that's not quite the question I asked, but I think you're just trying to clarify what you meant. Okay, so KO, we know what's coming and also able to focus on what matters. That is the key, KO. You're right, you're spot on. Okay, we know that we're all going to die, but most likely we believe that it's going to be other people dying before us. So death awareness brings your own mortality to the front of your mind so that you can actually try your best to weigh what really matters. Okay. So sorry, Eileen. My question is, how is death awareness relate to having peace and a rewarding life? So Jia Yi, when someone passed away suddenly, I won't feel regret as I have done everything that I could. Apologize, express love when one is still alive. That is spot on. So in palliative care, the very important thing that we always say is, thank you, sorry, I love you, and then goodbye. Yes, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I love you, and goodbye. So those are the important things to cover with everyone that you care, that you have expressed thanks. You have expressed that you were sorry if there is anything that happened between you. I'm not saying that you could always do that, because sometimes when I say that, people would say, but the person that I wanted to say sorry, they're already dead. You know, they're not here anymore. I'm not able to say sorry to them in person. You can still express your thoughts of sorry to them. You can still do that. We can address that if someone has similar question like that. But being able to contemplate on death allows you to understand that no one person is around forever. We do not have unlimited time with the people that we love. So it's very important to always try to resolve everything that you have, so that when they pass away, you would not have regrets. So those of you who have heard my talks before, you probably knew that my father passed away last year in July. I was not able to go back to Malaysia to say goodbye to him, nor attend his funeral. He had a stroke last year in March, and then another stroke in July, and then died. So last year is 2021. I said goodbye to my father in 2004. So in 2004, when I decided to come to Australia to do my PhD, I still remember vividly that night when we were at home, and I knew that I was going to leave Malaysia to study. I told my dad, I said, Dad, you know, for the past 10 years, I've been studying in Taiwan. I did 7 years for my medical degree and 3 years for my master's degree. I've been studying in Taiwan, and I said the holidays and the breaks in Taiwan is similar to Malaysia. So I was able to come home for Chinese New Year, for all these very important events. But going to Australia is a different country, and I won't be able to be back when I want to be back. So I'm sorry about that. And the thing that I worry the most is I might not be here when you pass away. So I remember I cried and I hugged him in the living room when I said goodbye to him. That was 2004. So it's not for another 18 years before, is it 18 years? Yeah, 2004, 2014, yeah. It's not for another 16, 17 years before he passed away. And it's not for another 10 years until he start to get sick. So I said goodbye to him in 2004. He didn't really fall sick until 2015. And then it was another 6 years before he died. So I totally agree with you, Jia Yi, that contemplating about death and dying reminds us to be present and remember to say goodbye when we have to say goodbye. And that really helps. So do I miss my father? I think about him often. I have him in front of me in my office that I see him often. And especially the first year after his death is very difficult. So that would be something from one of the listeners, that you recently lose someone that's very close to you, because you're experiencing everything the first time without that person that's very close to you. So you pretty much have to really prepare yourself for that. So, and I write a diary, which is a 5-year diary. So the 5-year diary, I've started doing it 2021, which means I literally wrote down the journey of my father dying. And every day when I make a new entry on 2022, it reminds me of what happened in 2021. So like, for instance, today is the 20th of March. And on the diary that I wrote in 2021, I said, praying for my father, because he had a stroke at the beginning of March. So after someone that's very close to you passed away, it's pretty much the first year. I'm not saying the following years are not challenging. I'm just saying that the first year is extraordinarily challenging, because you're experiencing everything without them. Everything. And then the second year and the third year, I'm not in any way implying that it gets easier, but I can assure you the first year is really intense and you have to look after yourself. So Regina, that preparation to self and to family members, friends, as we all connected on this earth. So Regine, that is a bit challenging. We can only attend to our own death preparation and support others when they request for our help and support. Because everyone have their own journey, everyone have their own thoughts about how they want to go about with death and dying. We pretty much can't force a person to do one thing or the other, but we can be a role model to them. We can be a role model to show them this is how we manage death and dying. So Hoki, guess I'm guided by live as if you will die tomorrow, but not easy to. That is very true. That is very true. So let me correct that. Death awareness is not about thinking about death all the time. It's not about that. My first Chinese book on death and dying, the title of the book is called Afternoon Tea with Death. That was 2006, I think I wrote that book. So yeah, that would be a long time ago. So when I wrote that book in 2006, the reason that I name it Afternoon Tea with Death is because I want people to every now and then contemplate on death and dying. Not every day, every now and then, because we tend to forget. And when we forget, we would actually live as if that we will not die. We will get angry as if that we will not die. We will do things as if that we have many, many tomorrows. Okay. So every now and then, thinking about death actually resets the direction of your life. So, and because okay, if we truly live as if that we are going to die tomorrow, then probably all of us will quit our job. If you're going to be dead tomorrow, you're not going to be working. So it's a balance. It's a balance. So I would rather say I live my life being aware that death is definite. So I'm not saying that it's tomorrow. I don't know where it is, but I have to have the awareness that death will happen eventually, sooner or later. I want to live my life with that awareness, because knowing that there is an ending somewhere makes everything that I'm experiencing now even more real. So how just applying that to this interaction we're having now. So my time now is 4:39, which means this presentation will end at 6 o'clock. So we still have 1 hour and roughly 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's just take over to 4:40 now. 1 hour and 20 minutes. So you're going to have a 10 minutes break, which means we have 1 hour and 10 minutes left. So I'm really pleased with the interaction we're having online now, because it's like, you cannot imagine how happy I am, because it's horrible to just be talking to yourself, blah, 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 on slides. So having your input is very, very important. knowing that this presentation is going to end also makes this encounter so special. If you were my student, if you are my student in the medical school, I would think that, oh, I'll see you next week, see you next month, we're going to have another lecture, we're going to have another this, we're going to have another that. But with you all, this is it. I do not know whether I'm going to see you again or not. This is the one opportunity that we can share and grow and discuss about death and dying and explore why it is important and how is it the key to living a peaceful and fulfilling life. So that is what death does when you contemplate on it. That's what ending does. When you know that something is going to end, it becomes more precious. It becomes more real and you're more present to it. So thank you very much for that, Hoki. So Ching Iris said, aware that life is limited. Yeah, so thank you, Iris. This is similar to what I've just mentioned earlier. Yao said, death can occur on any moment, no specific time and place. So it's, I remember when I first learned about death and dying thanatology, there was a sentence that stuck in my head. It says that the one who lies in the coffin is not just because they're old. It can be anyone. Okay, so what is in the coffin is the dead person regardless of their age. And of course, older people tends to die more because they're older, but it doesn't rule out that young people do die too. And for me, it's very real because I teach in a medical school and I've experienced students passing away before, which is quite a daunting experience for an educator because students are supposed to be young and vibrant and amazing, but they still died. Okay, so thank you for that, Yao. So Ximing, with death awareness, we'll start to think what kind of life I would like to have. So again, that is a balance. That is a balance because I don't want you to toss everything out of the window because you think, oh, suddenly, this revelation, we're all going to die. I'm not going to do this anymore. But knowing that you're going to die does give you more strength in making decisions, in asking those really difficult questions. Is this really what I want? Does that really make sense? Am I really happy? Is there anything that I can do differently? So thank you for that, Ximing. So Lee, since death is certain, we try to live our life to the fullest. Yep, so live our life meaningfully because that is so true. So death is certain, your time on this world is limited. What do you want to do about it? How would you want to go about it? The problem is we don't always remember that. That's why contemplation on death and dying is important. It's very easy for us to drop into autopilot. So for those of you who have some understanding of mindfulness, and for those of you who are interested in mindfulness, which I encourage you to engage with all the other presenters that's going to talk about mindfulness. Mindfulness is a very important tool to snap us out of autopilot. Autopilot means that we're not paying attention. Autopilot means that we're not in the here and now. For example, for me now, it's very challenging to do this presentation because I cannot see you. You can see me, but I can't see you. So if I were to just look back, okay. So this is what I see. Okay, so I don't see any of you. Yes, you're typing answers. We're trying to interact, but I cannot see you. So because I can't see you, how can I be present then? Okay, I use my body as my anchor. The breeze that's coming from the fan, this shirt that I'm wearing, the brief sound that I can hear that's outside on the street. There's the weight of my body pressing onto this chair. I use my body sensation to keep me in the present moment so that I can engage with you even though I cannot see you. So mindfulness is the tool for you to be able to be present. Death awareness is the trigger. Death awareness is the trigger to trigger you say, okay, life is going to end. Are you present with your life? Now, mindfulness is a way can facilitate you to be present. Okay, so thank you for that. So Shulene said, reflection on the priority in life. So when death steps in, everything changes. Everything changes. I remember there is a very famous palliative care physician, Dr. Doug Bridge in Western Australia. He's the one who introduced me to the idea of the changes of priority. This was in the year 2000, so it's 22 years ago, when I was Dr. Doug Bridge's interpreter in Taiwan. So he said, he's talked about worldviews. He said the worldview of a terminal patient and the worldview of a 60-year-old, 50-year-old, 40-year-old, 30-year-old, 20-year-old is different. So when we are young and healthy and dynamic and career-driven, that's different aims of our lives. Very different from when we're on the deathbed. When we're on the deathbed, what is important to us is not the next investment, is not the next achievement, is not the next acknowledgement. Okay, what's important to us will be what's our relationship with our loved ones, where are we at, how can we cherish the remaining moments we have with them. So again, applying that mentality, death helps to prioritize what's important in your life, but you still need to have that balance, because you do want to keep working hard to get the promotion, to make a difference in your career. Having said that, you still need to balance work and life. So it's a continuous balancing game. Okay, Hui Yin said, accepting that death is part of life, and so we aren't afraid to actually think and talk about what then do we want to do for ourselves, others, and the world with the time we have. So the fact of not being afraid to talk about it. Okay, and for some people that is a very huge obstacle. The moment they think about death, it's very anxiety and fear provoking. So for me, for my answer to that is, if you know that you're fearful of death, that is okay. Just acknowledge that fear and focus on living life, because it's the same outcome. If you contemplate on death, you want to live your life to the fullest. If you do not want to think about death, please still live your life to the fullest. But do try to add a bit of the ingredients of death in your life. Living to fullest is not just about you, but also around the people around you, the society and the community around you. Okay, so Shou said, when we know death, we are more aware of how we want to make use of lives we have. Yet that's similar to what we've said previously. Thank you very much for that. With death awareness, we'll be more grateful and appreciate what we have. Yes, knowing that it's going to end makes everything more real. So thank you for that, Chloe. And Eileen, when my father was suffering from late stage of cancer, I tried my best to take care of him and spend more time with him. After he was gone, I felt at peace. Thank you very much for sharing that, Eileen. That's what I'm trying to say, that when death is close to the people that we love, it's very, very important for us to remind ourselves to be as present as possible with them. So when they're not with us anymore, the sense of guilt and regret is not as intense. So Lim, we are aware that we will be dead someday. Allow the fear and do something matter in our life. So I guess what you're trying to say, that we all know that we're going to die, so we should be present to that fear, but not let it control us, so that we can do something meaningful in life. So death awareness for those may not accept who has lost her loved ones in this year. I don't quite know what you're talking about on that one. So may not accept who, I actually don't understand. So Hauki, not sure what you're laughing at, but hopefully that's something resonating with you. Eileen, I'm also very happy with your talk, because we can share our views. Most talks we just listen, but not much participation. Well, Eileen, like I said, if I want you to just listen, I could have videoed this. I wouldn't be spending my Sunday afternoon doing that. I should be walking my dog, enjoying the park and the and the sunset. Okay. Okay, Oily. So, okay, thank you. So I think you further elaborate. It's tough for the one who not accept. Yes, it is very difficult when people cannot accept the reality, and it's heartbreaking because they would try their best to they would do things that is not going to contribute to the long-term inner peace. And all you could do is to be present and be supportive when you're needed. Like I said from the very beginning, we cannot change anyone. We can't. We can only be there to support anyone who wants to be supported. So Iris, death awareness makes me gain more awareness of life in the present moment. Remind myself to practice most of the time. So Iris, exactly, that is the aim of this sharing today. That is, death awareness makes you gain more awareness of the present moment. So yeah, though I had constantly prepared and contemplate death and had gone through several death occasions with close ones, however, when I was hit hard with the sudden death of my loved one, I realized I was really, really ill prepared, and the emotional suffering that creeps in is really, really overwhelming, not to mention the loads of work that needs to be done. Thereafter, no deathbed last words to plan out anything, and just need to place on guessing. Was it that the awareness and contemplation I had wasn't good enough? Well, yeah, if I were, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. When you're struggling is something that's out of your control. The fact that there's no deathbed last words, there's not so obviously it's more of like that person did not talk to you about what they want after they die. So that is beyond your control. And the fact that you're able to articulate what you just wrote, that is just impressive and amazing, that you have a very clear understanding of what's going on. Most of the time when people are overwhelmed in this situation that you described, they won't be able to think that clearly. They would just be trying to resolve things and pushing their emotion to a side. And unfortunately, no matter how we contemplate and how many deaths we experience, every death is unique and different. Your relationship with every individual is unique and different. So since my father's death in July, I have lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 relatives. 6 relatives. Okay. And if I broaden that to the year that I lost my dad, which is 2021, and until now, I've lost 7 relatives. Okay. But my reaction to that are different because my relationship to each of them is different. And hence, when you say that, oh, this particular person, that you felt that all the things that you've done in the past, as if that it wasn't helpful, it's not because it wasn't helpful. It's because you're very, very close and this person is very, very dear to you. No matter how you try to imagine it, it's still different when it really happens. The thing that death awareness can, or death contemplation can give us, is during that situation, we have more clarity. The sadness is still real. The grief is still real. The relationship is real. The benefit of death awareness is you are going through that experience very mindfully, very present, and you embrace that so that there's no regrets on the other side of this journey. If that makes sense. Hopefully that does. Okay. So yeah, thank you very much. And again, thank you for sharing. So Oily said, I will suggest to those who are not experienced, seek help. Yes, they can seek help, but then they might not take your advice, which is the important thing. Everyone is an individual. You can make suggestions, but try to not link try to not link that to your sense of inner peace. That means if you tell someone something, if they don't do it, it's their decision. That's what I'm trying to get at. So Ray, hi, doctor. When my mother-in-law was around, my father abused her, shouting at her all the time. But now when she passed on last October 21, now my father talked to her all the time. I'm not sure if he's guilty or he's lonely or imagine she's still around. That we will not understand because we're not him, really. We're not him. So it is very sad though to see that because sounds like he's really mean to her when she's alive. And now that she's not there and he misses her dearly, there's so many layers in this. There's so many layers in this. It can go to the area where, traditionally men are not equipped with the tools for them to manage their emotion. So the fact that he needs to take it out on your mother-in-law, that means he's got anger management issue. Not saying that just because he didn't have the tool is the right thing, but I'm just saying that there are situations where not everyone is given those tools and opportunities to do things differently. So, so moderator, I saw that. Thank you, moderator. Yeah, thank you, Yao. Thank you, Yao. And again, Yao, it actually, grief comes in waves. So there are good days, there are bad days, and we take it one step at a time. It's heartbreaking, and the person that you miss so much, it's so hard when you have to every now and then suddenly realize they're not there anymore and you're by yourself. So please surround yourself with resources, surround yourself with people that supports you, that loves you. Not to say that it can cure what you have to go through, but at least try not to think that you're in it just by yourself. Okay, so yeah, I hope I answered your question really. Yeah, I was meaning about your father-in-law, that we do not know what his internal journey is. So KO, I never expected to face the unexpected death of a good friend at 28, but now I have come to peace with it after years. The confusion and the sense of loss is too hard to digest that time. Of course, KO, like when you lose someone that out of expectation, it is very, very hard because you're not just dealing with the loss, you're also dealing with the sudden death, which means you never thought about that happening. And you probably would have plans and discussion and dreams and future with this person, and suddenly they're gone. So this is a huge change and it requires a lot of adjustment. So Hoki, because death is not something we talk about in the family. So when a loved one dies, sometimes or quite often without a proper goodbye, it leaves those mourning overwhelmed with lots of unfinished business. But I have no comment, HK, you are totally right. That is why we're having this discussion. We want people to talk about death. We want them to contemplate about death so that they can bring those conversations up in their family. It's not that you go to your family and say, oh, you're all going to die. What are we going to do about it? It's more of like when you have death awareness in you, you treat all the event and interaction with a different attitude. Like I said to this talk, like it's 4:58 my time now. I'm planning to let you go and have a 10 minutes break at my time, 5 o'clock, which is 3 p.m. in Malaysia. And then you come back in 10 minutes and we'll only have 50 minutes left. Yep. So of course it's still a taboo topic. We are so not equipped to manage it. So anyway, Hoki, HK, I'll unpack that a bit more when we come back. So Karen, so I would like to say that we go into a 10 minutes break now and come back 10 minutes past, it'll be 10 minutes past 3 in Malaysia. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's sure.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Make sure you go outside, open your window. Please leave your computer. Please do not sit here. Stretch your legs, make a cup of tea, do anything. Engage with the environment around you. We have a full-on 1 hour talking about death and dying, and then come back and then we'll have another 50 minutes. So thank you very much. I'll see you in 10 minutes. 10 minutes past 3 Malaysia time. Thank you.
Okay, so enjoy your 10 minutes break. So we'll come back at 3 o'clock. 10 minutes? 3:10? Yes.
Hello, everyone. So yes, I'm back again. So I'll continue sharing the screen. And I'll bring up the question that we were talking about just now. So before we went to the break, HK mentioned something. Just a sec. Look. Where's HK? Yes, because that is not something we talk about. Yes, so it's still a taboo. It will remain a taboo, HK, until death awareness is going to be part of our education system. Because we teach everything. Well, not teach everything. We teach a lot of things in schools, but we teach about things that we probably sometimes doesn't use for the rest of our lives. So, like for instance, I learned a lot of calculus in high school. Never used it. The thing is, with death and dying, we don't teach that. So until we're able to have death and dying being in our part of normal curriculum, death will always be a taboo. Every 20 years, you have a whole new generation of people who not know what to do with it. And but hopefully, it will improve. Hopefully, we always need to have hope. Always need to have hope. Okay, so just a sec. Okay, so any question before I proceed? So what's going to happen now is we have another 49 minutes, and we're supposed to have some time for Q&A, but we're pretty much already doing Q&A here. But regardless, we still put away some times on the side so that if there's any question, I'm happy to answer. Okay, so as Karen mentioned, if you have any other questions, you can put into the Q&A part that we can visit at the very end. Okay, so now, so I guess we have established the fact that death awareness is related to living a peaceful and meaningful life, because death awareness helps us to prioritize what's important. It makes us more present because we know that things is going to end. It reminds us to always try to improve our relationship with the people around us, and hence we are able to have more peace because we resolve the conflicts to the best of our ability. So as if you listen to my language, we resolve conflict to our best ability, because sometimes it's very challenging to expect people to forgive everything, especially when we are not the one that has experienced the experience. So it's just to have that, just to be present with that. Okay, so I guess we pretty much answered that question already, so we won't go into that. But if you have any other question related to that, feel free to pop it into the chat or into the Q&A. So, just a sec. So now, as much as we're in this particular session talking about death and dying and how to live a meaningful and fulfilling life, I personally feel that the whole pandemic experience for the past 2 years is similar to death awareness. So can you all just in a few sentences touch on what did you learn? Is there anything different for you now after the pandemic? Or still in it, but it went from pandemic to endemic. So anything, what are the lessons that you learned from the pandemic? I think I caught you out of the blue, huh? What? I don't know. What did I learn? So everyone is frantically typing. Yes, so beautifully put, Iris, so beautifully put. Yeah, life can be so fragile and yet so strong. When it first started, we are all so impacted by it. It's so easy to lose hope, but we cling on to the hope. And now the world is opening up again. Yes, KO, death is not age specific. Appreciation and live at the present. Like I used to come back to Malaysia every year, a few times. I haven't been home for 2 years now. Can't even come back for my father's funeral. So something that I didn't even contemplate that would have been possible happened. Yeah. Anyone else? What are the lessons that you got from the pandemic? Uncertainties. Uncertainties is something that we teach a lot in the medical school, so that the student is aware that, you know, nothing is certain. Yep, Cleo, you're right. So we focus on what we can do and not things that we can't control. So really be consideration to others, care more of others, and life is so unpredictable, but everyone is slowly adjusting to ourselves and becoming mentally stronger. Yes, hopefully we're rising up from the other side. Really appreciate any time together when you are with someone, even though it's online. And Jia Yi, express love, gratitude while one is still alive, because death can happen so suddenly. Appreciate every meeting because I don't know when it's the next time. Do not take everything for granted, as we can go to the school or uni at that time. Yes, you did not know. Yep. So Go said that you just have to be ready to change. And it's like, your planning is never quick enough for the changes. Because last year in Australia, because we have a really good border control, so we pretty much was learning and teaching on campus, everything, and then entering into this year. So last year, at the end of last year, our plan is, you know, students are coming back to campus, doing this and that, yada yada yada. And then came Omicron. So we have to change everything online. We have to change everything back online, and then try to struggle like, oh, do they come back? Do they not come back? And now it's all open again. So it's like, it's always changing, always changing. So you being, I take good care of myself. That means I take good care of people around me. That is so important. Caring for other people starts from you caring for yourself. Thank you for reminding us all that. So Jess say appreciation. Yes, when we don't have that, you appreciate it. Like when I think about Malaysia, of course I think about my friends, a lot of other things, but I also think about Siam Chao Kui Diao. I haven't eaten good fried noodles for a very, very long time. It's been 2 years. It's very different. Like, you know, the fried noodles in Ipoh, oh, so nice. You know, the gai xi hor fan, so nice. So can't do anything about that. So Yao said, just feel blessed we were still able to talk about the topic like this. My heart still goes all out to those who were affected financially and emotionally. Thank you very much, Yao. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, peace is something that we can attain regardless of whether it's good or bad, happy or sad around us. Because at the very beginning of the pandemic, I advocated an idea and said that we have to be very, very mindful that we are all in a storm, but we're not on the same boat. We're not on the same boat. Like Australia just have the 1 in a 100-year flood about 3 weeks ago. I literally, like, I was driving to shopping center to buy some groceries. Yes, I shouldn't be driving out there, but I needed some food in the house. And I saw that there was a truck parked next to a river, and the water was at the tire of the truck. After I bought my groceries and head back to home, the truck is half submerged in water. So the flood did not impact my house, and none of that. There is some water seeping in, but that is nothing compared to people who have their whole house flooded to the top of the roof and lost everything. So we have to be really, really mindful that we can be going through the same storm, but we're on different boats. Some people are luckier, some people are not as lucky, and we need to always be present to that. So Jess, appreciate what we have during the pandemic. Lee said, lesson learned, life is so unpredictable. Yes, I haven't traveled for 2 years. Never expect we have to curb traveling for 2 years plus now. Lee, my last trip was to Japan in January 2020. I came back, and the 2 days before I came back, I was at Japan was at Tokyo Disneyland, and that's when the news came out that there is this virus, and we got back in just in time to Australia before everything just broke yeah, all hell broke loose. Ellen, I literally went into the autopilot mood. God bless, my loved ones brought me back to awareness. Oh, Ellen, thank you very much for sharing that. It is very, very difficult to be present when there's so much suffering around you. It's very, like I say, the way that I put it, like, you know, being mindful, being present, it's extraordinarily challenging when things are overwhelming. So as much as we need to be mindful and be present, you also need to control the information that's coming into you. Like, for instance, I said, you know, I wake up every morning, I look at the news, what's happening to Ukraine, the Russians do something else horrible to them. And if I know that I'm overwhelmed by it, I might have to go for a few days not looking at the news. It's not avoidance. It's looking after yourself. Because if you're overwhelmed, then you need to slow it down. You have to mindfully make the decision of not engaging if it's overwhelming you. So this is something that is a case-by-case situation. Only you can tell where you're at. Okay, so thank you, Ellen, for sharing that. Yeah, having the people around you to be able to pull you out of autopilot is just so amazing. They've done a great job. Hui Yin, accepting whatever that comes can be difficult to do, but so liberating when that can be done. I'm also wondering if maybe acceptance can be considered a skill. Of course, acceptance is a skill, because accepting means that you're allowing, you're acknowledging that there are things that's beyond your control. You're acknowledging that there's limitation to what we can do. We acknowledge that it's like us accepting that death is inevitable. Through accepting the inevitableness of death, you open up this amazing door into embracing life fully, because there's a limit to everything. Okay, so Lee, however, the good side of the pandemic, instead of looking at external, we look into ourselves, more contemplation, more awareness and mindfulness. So the pandemic is challenging. It also provides an opportunity for us to do introspective search. I used to travel so much before the pandemic. Like, there will be like nearly 2.5 months that I'm flying out there, going everywhere. So I have to say, this pandemic allowed me to not have to be that busy. You know, I can walk from my kitchen into the study and meet with people around the world. And then in another 38 minutes, I'll just say, thank you very much, really appreciate it. And I'm going to go and walk my dog near the park near my house. That was not possible in the past. So that is good. But as I'm saying all that, again, I'm still thinking of what Yao said, that we really need to be present, that this whole discussion is not about trivializing the pandemic and the experience of the pandemic. The suffering is real. We're here trying to make do what we can to continue to have that inner peace, facing with all the challenges. Okay, so Jess, fried kway teow. No, it's Ipoh fried kway teow. Jess, I really miss the chao fan and the gai si hou fan and everything else. Oily, my lesson is how to take care of myself and family, especially in social distancing. Yeah, that is very difficult. Like, for instance, Australia is all open now, and when I go to the shopping center, I still wear masks, even though I have three doses of vaccination. And everyone online here, if you have not been vaccinated, please go get vaccinated. Okay, because if it's something, if the vaccine doesn't work, all this country won't have done it. They won't have encouraged the citizens to do it. The problem is, if wherever you're at has really good control of COVID, the border is going to open eventually. And when the border opens, COVID is going to be everywhere again. So please get vaccinated. Okay, I've got three jabs. So Ximing, reconnecting with people from face-to-face to virtual, adapt to new form. Yes, and now we're back to face-to-face again, and it's just makes us realize how much we miss. Oh, yes, you're still in UK. Wow, sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'm still in Australia. Yes, I can't wait to go home, but I don't know why. Able to pray, help, care, and connect with each other in this difficult time. Yes, Suzanne, when we have a challenge, we suddenly realize that we are together. That is the thing that we can focus on. Okay, when we're all challenged, we're all under stress. Like for instance, I said a few weeks ago, Australia went through this 100 years once in the 100-year flood, and all the support and love that came out from the community is just so heartwarming to see. People just people just volunteer their time. And the other day I was listening on the radio. That's this all these tradesmen. They're specialized in plumbing or IT or electrician or anything. They say, oh yeah, I've got job at home, but I cannot just sit at home and see people suffer. So they just form groups and then they drive to the rural area or the area where the flood is impacted, and they just volunteer their time on the weekends to help people out. So sure, I'm still in quarantine due to COVID, felt so helpless, and my job suddenly become less important when I was so weak. I also realized there are so many people around me that show me love and care. This experience makes me reflect about what's important in my life. We all wish you a speedy recovery, Show. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. There's so many people that's getting COVID now, and that's no one's fault because Omicron is so contagious. And there's another version of Omicron coming that's out here now. I'm not sure whether it's in Malaysia, but it's definitely in Australia. It's even more contagious. That's why I say, please get vaccinated, because even if you're vaccinated, you still could get it. It's just that hopefully if you're vaccinated, it's not going to be that serious. And so we wish you a speedy recovery. Please take care and be gentle to yourself. Please be mindful of the long COVID syndrome. That means after COVID, you might have other things that come, and be gentle to yourself and rest when you need to. And it is fortunate and unfortunate that as human, we need to go through such ordeal to have a deeper realization of what's going on. And like you said, after COVID, now you suddenly realize that you're surrounded with people that loves you. You suddenly start to reevaluate what's important in your life. When you're so sick, suddenly all the priority changes. So thank you very much for sharing that with us, Joe. So Oily, because of my brother. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that your brother passed away, Oily. Oh, so that must be very difficult for your family. Yes. So losing someone close and then going through the pandemic, that would require a lot of internal strength to venture that. Thank you for sharing that with us. So we encourage you to ask questions. Oh, yeah, that is the technical part. And which child could tell story? We'll talk about that later, KO. So, okay, so thank you for your input. So as you can see, the pandemic is actually a lesson on death awareness itself for 2 years. The important thing now is for us to capture that and consolidate that learning experience, and then to apply that to everyday life. Because we are going from pandemic to endemic. People would think, sometimes I think, we are out of it now. Not to say that we might not get sick, is to say that we've got the vaccination, we've got the system in place. Yes, people will still get sick, but the hospitalization number is not as high and the mortality rate is not as high. Nothing to say that it's not lethal still. It can still kill people, and those are all still real. The important thing that I'm trying to highlight is going through the 2 years of pandemic, there's a lot of similarities in that about being aware of how vulnerable life is, how fragile things is, how unpredictable things is, how death can occur, how things can just surprise us out of the blue. It's important to consolidate that and to reflect on that often, because otherwise we go from pandemic into endemic, and before long, that is something that we experienced a few years ago. We go back into autopilot. We go back into living life as if that we have forever. By having that kind of experience, this shared experience, if we're able to allow that to really sink in and using that to inform how we live our life, you actually in some way has got the key to living a peaceful and rewarding life, because you now live life knowing that it's fragile, it's unpredictable, and anything can happen anytime. Hence, cherishing what we have, prioritizing what is important is crucial. So I guess this particular slide is about how do we face death and dying. Okay, so first of all, death and dying is such a potentially overwhelming issue. It's very important to allow space, to allow that space for that to happen, to allow the space for you to be present to the incident of death and dying. Then you face the information and incidents about death and dying, because sometimes it could be a news, it could be an incident, it could be something, and sometimes you're actually in that incident. So I encourage you to be present to that. It's very, very difficult. That's why looking after yourself is important. And when you go through that, I invite you to reflect affectively. So instead of thinking about what I could have done differently, how can it be done differently, how would I do this next time, it's very important to reflect on how did you respond to the incident or the information emotionally, and why do you have that emotional reaction. For example, Ukraine is very fresh on my mind. So every morning I woke up, I feel very angry with the situation. I feel very angry with Putin. Then if I reflect it affectively, I'm present to my emotion of anger. So instead of just pushing it away and say, oh, you know, I shouldn't be angry, I should let go. No, none of that. You have to look at it before you let it go. Okay. Letting it go is not pushing it away. Letting it go is having a really, really close look, very nice look, and then you decide to let it go. So I pretty much have to do that every morning. When I feel really, really angry with Russia, really, really angry with Putin, I pretty much know what's going on behind that is because I hate bullies. And what they're doing is they're openly bullying Ukraine. I just hate bullies. But that is not enough. I need to go deeper into that I actually experienced bullying when I was younger. We all experience that, you know, when you're young and vulnerable. This external experience is triggering my past experience, which then tend to leads me into reaction. So having that affective reflection helps me to clarify what is going on. Why do I feel like that? What am I reacting to? When you're able to reflect on that affectively, the parts become clearer. And then you look at the parts, you're like, for me, it's like, there's nothing I can do about this. You know, I can't stop the war. All I can do is to continue my life today with that awareness and try my best to be present and to bring positive impact into the place that I'm living in, this world. May it be petting a dog, watering a plant, talking to someone nicely, anything that is within my control. That is how you go from intense emotion into having peace in your heart. Okay, so it's true affective reflection. And affective reflection can be done in many ways. One of the ways that I encourage you is to journal, to write it down. Write down what happened, how did it happen, how did it make you feel, what is the reason behind of how you felt that way, and then what is the new thing that you learn about yourself in that journey, and how would you manage it differently in the next time. And amongst all that, looking after yourself is very, very important. That's why we have the 10 minutes break just now. Normally people say, oh, you know, like just keep on going. No, we need to have a break. We had a really good 1 hour chat, have a break, we come back, and then we can re-engage again. So when you want to contemplate about death and dying, those are the key things. So I repeat again, first of all, you have to be in the right place internally, externally to think about it. Then you bring whatever that you're facing in front of you. You reflect through affective, through emotion. The question is, how does it make you feel? And in that process, remember to take care of yourself. So that's pretty much in a nutshell, the process of dealing with trying to contemplate death and dying. So as I said, if you have any question anytime, feel free to key that in, so we can answer it. So so when we're facing with death and dying, it's very, very common that we feel fear, we feel grief, we feel the sense of helplessness, and those are all real, because no one wants to die. I don't want to die. You know, when I used to fly everywhere, whenever the aeroplane go into turbulence, I'm always very fearful that it's going to drop from the sky. And after many years of death contemplation, I then gradually arrive in the place that, okay, if it really falls off the fly today, that's it for me today. So I think I've tried my best to do what I could when I'm there with people. So it's a sad thing. It's unfortunate if it has to end here, but I think I have done all I could. So that's the place that I arrive at. And then when I arrive at that place, the fear is not as intense. I'm not saying that it's not there, it's not as intense. It's almost like, okay, if it has to happen, it has to happen. So the important thing is not about how you talk yourself around it when it happens. The important thing is, in your everyday practice, do you live your life with death awareness? Because if you did not live your life with death awareness, then you'd be like, what have I done? You know, there's all these things I want to do I haven't done. Oh no, I cannot die. Okay, so that is the difference. And living life with death awareness really it really would just enrich your life. So what does death awareness bring? Contemplation of death. Yep, it facilitates us in letting go. And as I mentioned just now, it's very important to not see letting go as a concept. Letting go is a process that you first have to engage with what is going on, then you can let go. And awareness of death allows us to be present and be mindful. And it allows us to manage the anxiety around death and dying and be present. And it allows us to prioritize what's important in our everyday life. And this last sentence, I really like it. It's called living with intention. That means we're not autopilot. Through mindfulness, through being present, we're very clearly engaging everyday life to our best ability. It's not always easy. And sometimes when you're tired, you go into autopilot. Sometimes when you're just repeating some really boring things, you go into autopilot. Sometimes you're just not as present as you like, you go into autopilot. But most of the time, if you have that awareness, it's important to live with intention. That means you live with a really clear idea of what you're doing today. Why are you doing that? Just now when I was having my break, I did ask myself, oh, why did I say yes? You know, it's like 4 o'clock already, and on a Sunday I have to work tomorrow. Oh, I still haven't cooked my dinner. You know, having my 10 minutes break, took a deep breath. Okay, what I'm doing here totally aligns with my value system, because it's a very important thing to me to be someone that can be useful for other people. And it's also very important for me to do and engage in this kind of discussion, because it reminds me of living with intention. So it was a really brief thing. Oh, what did I do? And then you're able to bring yourself back. Okay, so that is what death awareness contemplation will be able to offer you if you were to embrace it. And again, it's not about thinking about death 24/7. It's afternoon tea with death. You know, just a sip of coffee, be aware, remind yourself not to be in autopilot, and then be present and be mindful. Okay, so I think we came to a natural end. Karen, we can go into the 20 minutes Q&A before it's 6 o'clock in Australia and 4 o'clock in Malaysia.
Hey, Right.
Hi, Karen.
Hi again.
Yes.
All right. So after listening to your sharing, right, it just bring it's kind of like a quote pop out. Okay. It's actually a quote from one of the book writer, Haruki Murakami.
Yes.
Um, the quote is about like death is not the opposite of life, but part of it.
Yes.
I think this sums up what you shared. Yeah.
Yes.
Quite perfectly, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Life and death is two sides to a coin. If you only focus on one and try to ignore the other, then you're literally not living life to its fullest.
Okay. So I mean, I'm sure that death is like we mentioned this now quite often that even our participants said death is for sure for everyone, but really we barely speak about it usually, isn't it?
Yes,
So,
we don't.
don't
Why would
speak
you want to
enough.
talk about death?
Yeah. I think even my own parents will be like, when I try to explain to them that, okay, if I accidentally pass away, okay, so this
Choi, why did you say? Don't say that.
this is what, because I actually have this conversation with my mom when I was I think 29. I'm like way past 30 right now. Okay, 29. So their reaction is very, very typical. Like, oh, why are you talking about this? You are too old. You're too young to do all that. And when I contemplate buying my own space for my afterlife,
Yes.
my mom actually went as far as like take the money and say, yeah, we bought it.
And then run away. Yes.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
very normal too.
Yeah.
So I guess the thing is, if you suddenly engage in that conversation, of course, it's very hard for your family member to know what to do with it. So one of the suggestions that I would say is for you to allow them to link into that conversation. Like, for instance, what you see in the news or whatever that you came across, you can then actually use that as a reason. Like, for instance, recently, it's just on Thursday, there was a traffic accident in the highway between Brisbane and Gold Coast, and a motorist is being killed. Motorcyclist is being killed. And when we have to divert out of the highway and drove parallel to the highway before we can go back in again, and I saw his body on the highway. So that is a great opportunity to have that kind of discussion, which means that you're not actively contemplating about your own death, but you're telling them that something has brought that to your thinking. Like today's presentation would be a good trigger. You can go back to your people, to your friends, family, if they want to talk about that. Is that, oh, today we have a 2-hour conversation on how contemplation of death is actually going to contribute to peaceful and meaningful living. And they'll be like, what? How can think about something so dark be anyway helpful? That would probably be the reaction. And then you can then say, well, it's actually allowed me to realize and cherish what I have. So even for me, like normally at 6 o'clock, I'm not going to walk my dog. I'll do it tomorrow. But now, I've done 2 hours of death contemplation. So I was like, okay, the poor dog has been in the house all day. He would really like to go and have a walk. I'll walk him. Okay. So that's how you ease into that conversation. So is there some question that I need to answer, Karen?
There are, of course, many questions we need to answer.
Okay.
Okay. So, now we take a detour and then go to a more scientific discussion. Yes. So we have a participant asked about, can you elaborate on near-death experience? Is there any research and study have been done? I'd like to hear your academic view on the topic.
Okay, so from my perspective and my understanding, it's very tricky from the scientific perspective, because near-death experience is not death. The person actually never died. They came back, so they didn't die. And my understanding is for some people who experience near-death experience, they didn't have anything to say or tell. they just nearly died, they came back. And for some people, they would have experienced the out-of-body experience or coming to an end or life flashing back and understanding what's happening to their life. So I guess all we can do is we can say that it's a phenomenon that exists in someone's experience, but is not something yet that we can replicate and say everyone have the same. So what is the lesson that we can learn from that? Because I have personally spoke to people who have had near-death experience. You can see how those people who have the out-of-body going to the end experience, it really changed how they look at life. It really makes them know that, that's more than what we have. And it's very important to love and share and to be useful. So instead of focusing on whether near-death experience is real or not real or what's going on, we should all live that way. We should all live with the understanding that life can be much bigger than the life that we know, and we should be forgiving, be grateful, and be useful to the community, because it's the same outcome. There is one thing that I do want to highlight in the literature of near-death experience is that in some of the description, when they have flashback of their life, they actually appreciate the perspective of the person that they interacted with, which means if they were mean or cruel to someone, they have the perspective of how they make them feel. And that is a very important thing. That means when we live our life now, regardless whether near-death experience is right or not, we should try our best to not bring harm or negative experience to the people around us. Because if flashback is true on your deathbed, you do not want to experience all the hurtful things that you have caused people, and it would be very challenging. So do yourself a favor, be a nice person, as nice as you can. Do yourself a favor. Yeah, okay. That's the answer.
So that's back to it's important to just align your values in a way.
Yes.
Okay. Since we're talking about values, right, we have a question. How might we be able to find out what our values are? And are there some ways to confirm whether those are still our values at a different time of points in life?
Oh, it changes. But the simple thing that you could do is there's actually all these values exercise online where you could download a piece of paper with maybe 120 values in there. Okay, so you look at it, and then the first round, you pick 50. And then you pick out of 50, you pick 30, and out of 30, you pick 15, and then you go down to 10. So because there's a lot of things that we would think that, yes, I think that's important. But when it comes down to really you only have 10 choices, that is where it's core to you. Those are your core value system. The other way to find out your values is like the example that I said. When you have a strong emotion, you reflect affectively, you use that emotion as a reason for you to ask yourself, why am I so angry? For example, some people get really, really angry if they're driving and someone just cut in front of them without showing signal. Very, very angry, okay? Then you have to ask yourself, why am I so pissed off? What's going on? Because that is disrespectful. You wanted to be respected, you wanted to be seen, you wanted to be heard, and what that person did is disrespectful. So that means respect is a very important value to you. That's why you're so pissed off. Okay, so that's the way to try to figure out. And the other thing is to talk to the people that's close to you, talk to people that's around you, talk to people who knows you. Then they can tell you how you live your life, how you conduct yourself. And from their understanding, what do they think is very important for you, and you can verify whether that's right or not.
So I should have a conversation with my mom. Why I tend to when I'm driving?
Well, that's why whenever you get pissed off, I'm not saying that you thank the person who makes you angry, but whenever you are angry, it's very, very good to look into why you're angry. Yeah, I beg your pardon. I just need to have a sip of water.
Okay, it's okay. So since we talk about reflect effectively, right? So we have questions about how do we like start practicing reflect effectively when there's so much things to handle day to day. We're all in autopilot most of the time, isn't it?
No, it's really horrible, isn't it? It's horrible. Well, the thing is, having the awareness is first step. That's very important. Then you try to do it in bite size, small chunks. Like for me, this diary, I cannot show. Oh, I can show you that. Yeah. So see, it's not that big a paragraph if you have to write. Okay, so it's just like literally less than 5 minutes. So I assume you can find 5 minutes in your everyday life to do that. Yep. So if you want to start, just start by 5 minutes. So if you have more time, you reflect a bit more. In order for you to feel motivated about that, you can start with reflecting what is the thing that you're grateful of that happened today. 5 minutes. I have a little lovely book. I've got all these journals, lovely books, small little books, like just small little books, really small ones. You can have a very fancy one. This is a leather one. You can open it up. Oh, the texture of the paper, very, very nice. Yep, you don't have to write much. Just today, I'll reflect on what is it that I want to be thankful of. The other thing that I've been doing for a while now, if you're on my Facebook, every day I draw a little monk. Every day. I've been doing it for 2 years now. And I stopped after when the pandemic first started, I start drawing it every day. And then after we have the vaccine, I stop it. But then I start to realize that people are not taking the vaccine. So I start drawing again to pray that, the world, the situation will improve. And now I'm probably withdrawing for Ukraine. Okay. So this doesn't take long for me. Yeah, and at the moment, after trying to draw it so people get vaccine, I'm entering into number 295. So I drew 295 of this drawing. So it's a small activity, doesn't take much of my time, but it's something. This is the time of me and myself. It's very, very brief. I can show you now. It's very brief. It doesn't going to take forever. It's very, very brief. You can see that. No, you can't see it. Just like that. 1,
No, you can't see it because it's like
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll show you after it's done.
Yes, thank you.
There you go. Just like that.
Yeah, maybe you have to put it further away though, because it's too near.
Yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it. It doesn't take a long time. So for you can do something that works for you, that will give you that time every day. Then gradually the 5 minutes can go into 10. 10 can go into 15. Imagine if you have 20 minutes just to yourself every day to contemplate on the things that you're grateful about, to think about the things that upset you and try to understand where it's coming from so that you will not be kidnapped by it again. That is just amazing. So do yourself a favor. Start with 5 minutes.
All right. So actually, to put it simply, it's not actually it's not about the intensity, but it's more like the consistency. It's not how big chunk of it.
Well, the bigger the better, but you have to start somewhere. But consistency is important because you say, oh, I spend 8 hours doing this, and you do it once a year. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I think it's very similar, like how some people like, oh, I went to the gym and exercised for 8 hours, and automatically I should be fit, isn't it?
No, it doesn't work like that. Every day.
Yes,
it's the same as building muscles. Okay, so it's building your mind muscles. This is rewiring how you think, because the way that we're wired to think is very, very traditional and very primitive. It's either fight or flight. So whenever there's danger, we go like, I'm either going to fight you, I'm going to run away. You don't have this, I'm going to contemplate on this fight. You don't do that. It's just not how we're wired. So in order to do that, you have to work on that. You have to work on that neural pathway. So when you see something coming towards you, especially death and dying, you're able to be present to it and to breathe deep and be present and manage the situation at the same time being aware of your emotional response.
So being aware of it and consistently like practice it, make us respond to it instead of
yes.
just
You need to have the internal button that goes ding 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 ding. Remember when we were younger, when people do slow motion fighting, they go ding 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 ding. So you have to do that internal button that instead of that thing just suddenly happen to you. With mindfulness, you can see that ding 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 ding. It's coming, and how am I going to respond to this before it hits my face?
Yeah. Okay. So that's an interesting way to put it. All right, but then
I'm full of interesting metaphor.
Well, it just brings back childhood memory.
Yeah, dang 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 dang. You have to create your own superpower to go dang 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 dang. Then it happens.
Okay. I kind of like show our age a little bit here, huh? About the slow motion.
It is what it is.
Okay. So back to a more serious and solemn part, right?
What do you mean? I'm not serious just now? I'm so serious. I am teasing you. It's okay. I'm teasing you. That's fine. I know what you're saying.
Okay, back to a very more heavy questions here. So our participant lost his or her mom like to COVID 9 months ago, but since then the life turned upside down and have problems with every aspect of life. So this person have a strong urge to resign from the job and no longer feel like liking what he or she do. Plus, he or she also see no prospect in the job and always feel anxious and lost about the future. And the person is not sure whether it's merely due to grief or it's a clear sign that I can trust to take a break and make a career change. So it's not very sure whether it's actually just a grief thing or the value shifted to be the same.
First of all, we can't actually offer you any response to that because this is potentially very complicated. Just based on what you say, we can't say much because we'll probably need to sit down with you to really clarify things. So what I would say is please go and find a career counselor, a grief counselor, good counselor that graduates from Utah that knows Karen. Registered counselor. So find someone professional to help you with that. So that is the standard answer. Okay. So under that answer, first of all, thank you very much for sharing that. It is horrible that you have to go through that. And as I said, I'm still experiencing the death of my father on a daily basis because it's the first year I'm living without him. And death does get you to start to change perspective. And there is always this mixture of hesitation. Should I do it? Should I not do it? I'm now thinking it differently. So that's where having those counseling support allows you to have a clearer idea of where you're coming from and why you're doing it. Are you doing it to address some unfinished business because of around the grief? Or are you doing it because death has well and truly allowed you to reprioritize what you're going for? I went into death and dying because of the death of my grandmother. I carried the grief of her death for 7 years without knowing it. But the way that I managed that is to go into death and dying studies. And eventually, when I become a counselor myself in the counseling training process, I realized that the grief of losing her was the reason why I did what I do. So it's a revelation. 7 years of my life. I'm so glad I got to it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know what else I would have done under that influence. So I would just say that be really cautious, get the help that you need. And through that process, hopefully you have clarity about what you need to do. Utah is a good university. They have good graduates. Engage someone that is, honestly, engage someone that's properly trained and has credential so that you can get the proper professional help that you get. So, but thank you very much for sharing that with you. And I sincerely hope that you will be able to find and see and feel what there is for you in the future, with the blessings of your mother and all your loved ones around you. So thank you very much for that.
Yeah, so definitely, I think speaking to a registered counselor is very important.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Take the note, registered counselor.
Yes.
Like so many different professionals out
exactly.
there. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, right. So, wow, it's I think it's around.
I have to walk my dog now.
All right. Thank you so much for Chen, for sharing with us. Talking about this taboo topic. It's not quite often to have this talk. So I'm very, very thank you for actually joining us. And I see your face. I feel like smiling. So that's one part. Okay. So I believe all of us can benefit immediately from the knowledge you share and the discussion we have done. So if we didn't cover all of the questions that you might have asked, we apologize in advance. We tried. Okay. So thank you, dear participants and our FB viewers, for allocating your Sunday afternoon. Evening or afternoon, okay, to join us. All right. And on behalf of our organizer, we would like to invite our audience to leave a few words or thoughts under the Facebook live stream of this event. You may click the link from the chat box at the bottom of your Zoom control panel. Not forgetting those who are watching us live, please join us in the comment section. Your thoughts and view could be an inspiration to us. I'm sure Dr. Chen will be very interested to read.
Thank you very much.
All right, so before we end today, allow me to share our next two coming talks by our international speakers. Mandarin talk entitled How to Help the Younger Generation to Develop Stronger Mental Resilience Through Quality Excursion on 22nd March, and How Traditional Chinese Medicine Promotes Health Through the Prevention of Illness and the Power of Mind. So
can I interrupt? So Taiwan, Lin Pei Xiong is the same, studied at Kaohsiung Medical University with me, studied medicine, he studied psychology. So please attend that talk if you are Chinese speaking or if you know anyone that's Chinese speaking, because Pei Xiong has something very interesting that will be very helpful to a lot of people. So it's definitely a session that's worth attending. I do not know Dr. Peng, but I'm a great supporter of traditional medicine. It's always important to have the conversation between traditional medicine and Western medicine so that we can create a win-win situation.
Wow, thank you for helping me promote. Okay, all right, thank you, Dr. Chen. Okay, so lastly, let us promote a little bit about Utah Hospital, which is a non-profit hospital and will be self-sustained. Your valuable support and generous contribution to this hospital project will greatly benefit medical and health science students, the community, and the nation. To support Utah Hospital project, kindly click the link below. Thank you, and see you in our next talk. Remember to support Dr. Chen's roommate, right? If I'm not
You're not roommate, we studied in the same year.
Oh, okay.
And again, with Utah Hospital, it's very important to support a good hospital that is doing the right thing for the right reason, for the community. And it takes a village to have a child, and it takes a country to have a good hospital. So everyone's support will be greatly appreciated. And it's for Malaysia. It's from the very, very heart of our community to benefit our community, which requires the community to support it. So thank you, everyone.
All right, so thank you, see you all, and goodbye, everyone. We wish you a pleasant Sunday ahead, with whatever that is left on the Sunday. So bye, Dr. Chen.
Bye-bye, everyone. May peace and joy be with you. Thank you. Bye.